Are you guys ready for us to talk about the Twitch anti-Semitism scandal? 4 streamers got knocked down, okay? And they got knocked down for a bit. I don't know how long each streamer is banned for specifically. I know Frogan is banned for 30 days, but the streamers include Capri Sun Poppy, who I know very little about, Frogan, who I know a little bit about, Denims, who I used to be, I want to say close with, but used to be an associate. I used to talk with Denims. We don't really chill or talk anymore. And Vio, who I don't know anything about. Now, these 4 people were banned after massive backlash from online due to what people are saying is rampant anti-Semitism on Twitch, Twitch's lack of accountability for that rampant anti-Semitism, and just double standards that Twitch has for certain creators versus other creators. And this seemed to be topped off by a recent revelation that Israel, after the October 7th attacks, was blocked from having Twitch accounts made in their country. Meaning that if you were located to be within Israel post October 7th, you could not make a Twitch account. Now, this does extend, I believe, to certain parts of like Palestine, like in Gaza and other places. Not that I know a ton of people would be making Twitch accounts in Gaza right now, but I also heard that you might be able to like make an account based in Jordan from there, so I don't know for sure. Point is though, that combined with this recent rhetoric we've seen on Twitch and a lack of reaction to it from Twitch led to a big backlash that eventually culminated. And I would call, I don't know what to call this, but like the, man, when did this happen? The October 21st, the October 20th massacre, the October 21st purges, whatever you want to call it. So I wanted to check out the reason that these people were banned, why people are saying that Twitch has a massive anti-Semitism problem, and whether any of these bans were justified, if Twitch has a massive anti-Semitism problem, and just looking into this, because this has become a gigantic scandal. I saw, major news outlets talking about it. I saw the ADL picked it up. I saw that major streamers were talking about it, XUC, everybody, and it exploded very quickly. And so I wanted to break this down. So the reason these 4 people were banned specifically, and we'll start here, has to do with a panel that they were all on. Now, there are some streamers here that have done more than this, and there's been a bigger reaction to them, Frogan being the main one, so we're going to look at some other Frogan clips in a moment. But it was a panel that these 4 people were doing at TwitchCon from a month ago. So this is actually this is major lag on the part of Twitch. This is a month-old panel that they are reacting to after it got more attention. They also banned Raf, who is Jewish and is on the panel. Is that the person on the left here or the person on the right here? I don't know if there's a person on the left or the person on the right. But here is the TwitchCon panel that they were on. Now, this is a Twitch panel that was showing some Arab representation in the Twitch space, and that was at least the idea behind the panel. And they decided during this panel to do a tier list. And this seems to be where the main objection comes from. And the tier list goes from Arab to Arab coded to asks perms, thinks it's a slur, and then to loves Sabra. Loves Sabra. Now, Sabra, for those of you who don't know, at the bottom tier, is a Israeli hummus that everybody on the panel pledges is very, very bad. Now, I don't know if it's bad or not. I'm not really a hummus guy. I've had hummus like on a few occasions. It's okay, but I just don't know anything about it. But they pledge is very, very bad, and so they put it at the bottom to rank it as bad. Now, something that probably maybe should have been considered a tiny bit is that it also can be used as a term for Jew. It is not commonly used as a term for Jew, but it has also been used as a term for Jew, Sabra. Originally, it was a slur, and then it kind of like mutated into like people use it in other ways. But most people, when they hear it now, they think of the hummus, not of that. So I'm not saying that that was a deliberate thing that was done, but it is a thing that probably, if somebody knew, If you know it, you should not do it. If you know it, you should not do it. Anyway, they did this ranking list, and there was a few. Let me just show you like just an example of them working around this ranking list that eventually ended up getting them suspended and banned.
The next person is one of my favorite people, Ethan Klein.
I told you guys to clap.
This is a good reaction.
That was a good one. That's good. All right. Turn that up. Turn giraffes.
We all know where this is going.
Okay. I like how we're giving audience input. They're like, fuck what you guys had to say.
Dude, where's the? You guys are missing a category for Zionist. That was a joke. That was just a joke in my.
Denums. Well, obviously it's Love Sabra, right?
Yeah.
It has to
That's
be.
easy. That's
Definitely Love Sabra. All right, so there he
Are we
goes.
being messy?
easy. Yes.
You put him as number. Yeah,
I'm
our
so
third
scared.
choice.
Honestly,
Dude,
keep her
Capri's
on the
gonna
bar.
have anxiety about this for the rest of his fucking.
Okay, so that's the way they did it. Now, Ethan Klein is somebody who has. We'll get on into this in a bit. Now he's kind of beefing with the Sun over this, but he is a Jew and he was ranked loves Sabra. Now, one of the people that were on this, and somebody actually just linked me this, and I do want to throw this up here. This is a tier list around who can say Habibi. If you're curious about like what the specific tier list idea was, and that's why it ranks it from top all the way down to like love Sabra. And his response to all of the backlash: these fucks are so anti-Semitic. I'm the one who made the list on who can say Habibi, and they try to spin as Frogan raking people from Arab to Jew. Keep Jews out of your fucking mouth. Now, I do have to say that ranking Arab at the top and then Love Sabra, the Israeli hummus brand, and also known as a word for Jews. I mean, like, look, I'm not saying that everybody involved in this panel is an anti-Semite. And I'm just saying, I'm saying this with no deeper knowledge. I'm not saying that. But also, does it seem like it's in the best of taste? Are you really surprised at the backlash? I don't really know how Twitch even okayed this, honestly. I don't know how this is sanctioned by Twitch. It'd be one thing if this was like in somebody's just like back room and they were doing this and you're just like, oh God, this is distasteful. I think the real reason why this got so much backlash isn't because this is so horribly anti-Semitic, because this is not like, maybe I am desensitized, but I've seen much worse anti-Semitism before on the internet. The internet is full with much, much worse anti-Semitism or things that could be conceived as anti-Semitism. The thing that's really wild is that this is an official Twitch-sanctioned event, TwitchCon nonetheless, with like Samsung and Capcom and Chevron and all these like different companies in the back there with all their names up there as they're ranking from Arab at the top, Arab coded, all the way down to Love Sabra. That's the thing that really blows me away. Because it just seems like in such, bad taste for TwitchCon. And look, I'm not one to tell somebody like, oh, this is too edgy, you shouldn't be allowed to do that. I'm just surprised nobody at Twitch looked at that tier list and thought, I don't know about that. I don't know if this is something we should do at TwitchCon. How about we put the bottom one as a different ranking, huh? How about we have the bottom one as a different ranking? But it is what it is. Honestly speaking, I don't think that any of that specific incident in and of itself is bad enough that it should have come with a Twitch ban. Can I be for real? I don't. And I'm not saying that to say that it doesn't come with any like distaste. I'm not saying that to say that it's like, I would do it or that's something I would endorse, that type of performance. But the thing that gets me is this was at TwitchCon. This is a Twitch event. How can Twitch ban people after giving them like the okay to go on the stage? That's the thing is, it's not that I don't like it. I don't like it. I think it comes off bad, even if it was on accident. But how does Twitch ban somebody after like giving them the okay to do that? It's like and this is maybe not the best comparison, but if you have like Grateful Dead on and you okay them to like take LSD on stage, they then take LSD on stage, and then it has a negative reaction, and whatever community you're in or whatever, like you're the one. Do you ban them and then punish them for? If you okayed them doing that, then it's your, that's your fault. This is TwitchCon. It's their event. So like, I think it's because these are the only people you could really penalize publicly. Because like, who else would you penalize? The person who organized this with them? Would you ban them and penalize Twitch staff at the same time? I mean, you would have to penalize them and apologize and say in the future, like TwitchCon events will be like checked first with like a diversity, like somebody to check for the diversity and HR potential of backlash. Because I mean, this is as much Twitch's F up as much as their F up. It's their event. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like if I'm running like a boxing show and I am a boxing promoter, and then I organize the fight in a weird way, and then the fight goes bad, like I hold some responsibility there. Or if the fighters ask for something that was not a good idea, and then I give the thumbs up to it, like, yeah, you know what, 2-ounce gloves, 1-ounce glove. Let's see how little fabric we can put in there. Only horsehair, nothing in the glove except horsehair. Like, yeah, I think that the person who okayed it holds some amount of responsibility.
Bankrupt man.
And, I wouldn't be surprised if as we go on, and I'm saying this really early on in learning about this, okay? If we find out that most of these like bans or most of these like repercussions is largely Twitch trying to make the streamers their sacrificial lamb for their improper moderation and lack of consistency in moderation enforcement. Because my biggest problem with Twitch, as has been my biggest problem with YouTube, but especially with Twitch, is just a lack of consistency in moderation. Just a lack of consistency in what people get banned for and what people don't get banned for. Whether it was reacting for banned streamers for a period of time where it was going around that you could react to certain banned streamers and wouldn't be banned, but then certain people would get banned, but then much bigger streamers who were doing the same thing would get banned. That was something I experienced. Or it was certain much bigger streamers breaking policies, getting away with it, but the much smaller streamers who do not have people inside Twitch that they can call, breaking the same policies, they get hit because they're just not on top like the rest of the gang is. But that's how this business is. That's how show business has always been. Even if that's, it's not cool that it's in the more authentic or cool streaming base, that's always how it's been. You're not connected well, you're not on top, you're not getting the best viewership, you're up shit creek. You're up shit creek if you break the rules. You don't have, you don't have somebody reliable or big to call on, then tough shit. That's always how it's been. But I think that, over time, once more and more and more and more and more of these build up and other streamers do get penalized, or sometimes even over penalized, people banned for years with no explanation and no unban in sight for things that are sometimes not even as bad as what the people who aren't getting banned for. It makes people question. It makes people question the authenticity of the site. It makes people question the motives of those enforcing the bans. It makes you question who's making these decisions. And it makes you question the vagueness of Twitch's rules, which are kept in place. And this is what I think, and I'm not the only person who thinks this, in large part to give them as much maneuverability and flexibility as possible when it comes to how they choose to enforce. So, like, as much as I think, like, the hate parade has been against Denims and the rest of these people, like, I think the main hate parade should be against, honestly, Twitch. Honestly, Twitch. Now, to be clear, we just got started. We just got started here. But all I'm saying is, at the RNC, if they had an event, and during that event, it was like a panel, and they had like a spin the bottle, or like a spin the wheel game, with a bunch of racist nonsense or a bunch of stuff that could easily be interpreted as racist nonsense on the board, you don't just blame the person who's spinning the wheel. You would also blame the person who said this is a good idea, or we're going to allow this, or we're going to go get you the wheel, or okay, we're giving the okay there. So like, is Twitch just going to ban these people, or are they also going to be consistent when it comes to blame and talk about the staff that made these okays, or how they're going to host Twitch cons in the future? Okay, anyway, we started, honestly, I think this is the minor one. Let me talk about the much bigger thing. So out of those people who got banned, there is a streamer by the name of Frogan. Now, there is a bunch of clips of Frogan going around. One clip is her talking about having a cousin in Hezbollah, and actually, could we actually get that clip up here quickly? Because I want to be blunt with you guys, right? Because maybe this will be the one area where we disagree, or we don't find some agreement in chat today. I don't really know how much I care about somebody having family members in Hezbollah. Maybe I'm just desensitized a little bit. But let me play this Frogan clip. So this is Frogan talking about having a family member in Hezbollah.
Can I tell you a story, but can you bleep it?
Yeah, but can we watch this? Then you tell me the story. You want to tell me the story?
It's relevant. I swear.
Okay, tell me.
My cousin gave us his old Xbox, and his username was Hezbollah something. And then we were like, "Bro, this motherfucker's about to get us put on a list."
That's really funny.
Why bleep that?
Yeah, why bleep that? Was he an American, or is he from there?
He's American. He died.
Okay,
Recently.
yeah.
Then we're good.
In what, the war, or just generally?
Remember I told you my cousin died last year?
Yeah.
Then.
Okay.
Oh, do you still want to bleep it?
We don't have to. I don't know. I don't want to be put on a list.
So
Can I
to
tell you a story, but
me,
can you bleep
this like clearly sounds like she's insinuating that she had a family member in Hezbollah who named themselves Hezbollah on Xbox. Which, by the way, it's a little goofy, isn't it? It's like you join Hezbollah, now Hezbollah is like your main personality trait. Oh, my name's Hezbollah on the Xbox. My name's Hezbollah on the PlayStation. Oh, look at my phone background. It's Nasrallah. You know, it's like team sports. Okay, this isn't the fucking Dallas Cowboys. It's a militia group that massacred Syrian children and starved Palestinians in camps in Syria. Anyway, but I don't really know how much I care about this. Like, all this would establish is that she knows people who are in Hezbollah. This wouldn't establish anything else than that. So me, it's like when I listen to like, this person had a grandfather who was tied to this person who did war crimes. Okay, but what did they do? You can't really choose who you get born to. I didn't choose my parents. She didn't choose her parents. She didn't choose her cousin. She didn't choose this. So whether or not she has a cousin in Hezbollah, like, I don't really think that matters all that much, right? And like when somebody says like in Hezbollah, also like, what is that? Now, of course, she's insinuating that they died. They might have died in combat. But when you talk about like in Hezbollah, when you're in Lebanon and you're in southern Lebanon, especially, what does being in Hezbollah mean? Does that mean that you're like a soldier with a rifle and you're out there fighting? Or does that mean you're a doctor? Does that mean that you're somebody who's working at a Hezbollah-aligned business, and the only way you could work at that Hezbollah-aligned business is if you had some sort of tie to Hezbollah? Now, if she's talking about them dying, as you know, insinuates there's a little bit more to it than that. And if you're writing Hezbollah as your Xbox name, you're probably a little bit more passionate about the organization, and you're not just like, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do to survive in this territory. But still, again, like, out of all the pieces of evidence that people are bringing forward, like, this is the thing that I care about, like, the least. Like, I negative care about this. Hell, I know people who know people that are at Hezbollah. Like, what is the, like, just, like, you know somebody that's in an organization I don't like? I'm not allowed to be friends with you anymore. Like, I don't know. Okay. That's, like, the one thing. There's another clip of Frogan that I think has been going around, but I don't want to go, like, dive into every clip. This is the one that I saw that I think is probably the worst and is the most deserving of the ban, because it's the most obvious example of a violation of Twitch's terms of service. And her not being banned for this, in my opinion, like, no matter what your personal beliefs about banning should be, and we'll get into that in a second, this is like the clearest violation of Twitch TOS I've probably ever seen from inside Hassan's clique. But funnily enough, this is not the thing that got her banned, along with the other people. It was the Twitch panel that got them banned. So this was not the inciting incident that got Frogan banned.
I have no pity at all for any fucking soldiers. Distress, thank you so much. I will never have any fucking pity for any fucking soldiers. U.S. military? Boo fucking who? I hope you get PTSD. You know? I do the ones the ones I'm like whatever about the US soldiers are the ones that like acknowledge that like what they did was wrong. They didn't know back then. Whatever. You're a good person in my book. I'm like a Tom, thank you so much for the 10 gifted. So the US military that are like, yeah, like, you know, I did this back then, but now I know it's wrong, like I'm changed, like fuck imperialism, fuck this. You don't deserve the PTSD. But like any other motherfucker, you're joining them. You're like, oh my god, I want my fucking Camaro, no student loans. Fuck you. I hope you get PTSD, and I hope you get no health insurance when you get back into fucking America.
God, I hope that's delicious. She's going to town. Now I'm hungry. Okay, man. So, first things first, we'll just talk about like the morals of this. So, her anger at American foreign policy should not translate into a dehumanization of everybody caught in the American, you know, machine for all the good and all the bad, right? An American soldier has very different. I mean, when you talk about American soldiers, like the dumbing of this down, right? An American soldier could have so many different experiences. As an American soldier, you could be in a base in Germany doing nothing outside of just being a deterrent for aggression in Europe. You could be now deployed in Estonia, Lithuania, or Latvia, welcomed largely by the native populations of those places because they see you as a guarantor stopping them from being occupied by an outside state. You could be a soldier in Syria, in SDF-held territory, or in the south of Syria, in a country where the government there doesn't want you. The local groups like the Kurds that you worked with think you're a massive backstabber, and the jihadi groups there also don't like you very much, and the Iranian-backed militias don't like you. You could be a soldier on a ship. You could be a Navy man who is bombing the Houthis after they attack international shipping lanes. You could be a soldier like the different experiences. You could be an engineer, supply. There's so many. The military is such a gigantic organization at this point, covering so many continents and so many different security priorities. To even begin to introduce a sweeping statement like this is not only, like, I think dehumanizing of the individuals that she's talking about, is not only not treating the issue of post-traumatic stress seriously, but I think it's reductive to reduce and destroy all meaning. It'd be one thing to be like American soldiers that were part of this military defense company, or American soldiers who did this type of stuff or this war crime with glee, or but to say all American soldiers everywhere and anywhere, if you do not agree with my political prescriptions about American imperialism, which basically means they regret having served their country in any capacity at any point, then I hope you have PTSD and it goes untreated. So not only do you get one of the worst feelings that you can inflict upon a man when you break him down to his barest self and make him lose his mental sanity, his physical health, because it can translate into your physical health. Eventually, it could even make you lose your life, as we found in many, many occasions. I mean, the biggest killer of American veterans, in large part, is suicide. And to just like disregard that completely while living here in this country. I mean, it's like, it's gross. It's just gross. It's gross. I mean, look, I don't even want to say that it's comparable. But if someone who's Dylan, do you hope that every Russian soldier gets PTSD and every Russian soldier then can't? Of course not. What the fuck is wrong with you? Why would I want that? Why would I want that to be for any soldier, for any kid? You don't think? I mean, what Do I want to take, like, even if we assume the worst about let's say every single Russian soldier is like a Wagnerite, do I want to take a bunch of former prisoners with violent histories and a bunch of other soldiers with who just seen the most horrific stuff imaginable, give them no mental treatment, and then release them back into wider society? It's not only going to be damaging for them and their individual health, it's going to be damaging for wider society. Again, this is very different. Your experience as an American soldier doing work on a logistics and engineering base on a base in Germany versus a soldier, targeting civilians with drones in Kherson. Again, very different, just like what an American soldier is doing in Afghanistan, an American soldier doing somewhere else, very different. But even if you were to make this comparison, like this is the thing. I am asked constantly, and this is something that's brought up a few times, to extend a certain amount, and I believe this is right, amount of sympathy for those who would think, Dylan, because you are considered LGBT in some capacity, the B, right? It is true that many people in parts of the world would think that you're gross, disgusting, or that you shouldn't have certain marriage rights or civil rights that the rest of us have. But you need to understand their material conditions and upbringings led them to where they are. They didn't have the wealth to think about things about like sexuality or these types of civil liberty. They haven't had that ability or chance to think about that. And we're supposed to extend that amount of sympathy to people in Gaza, to people in Egypt, to people in Iran, to people all around the world. And I think that, largely you should to some extent. That doesn't mean you make excuses for homophobia, but you need to understand people's environment. You need to understand people's material conditions if you want to understand them. But then you look at soldiers who grew up in the middle of Georgia, castrating pigs, doing nothing, knowing nothing, who are seeing nothing in their future but poverty, and then they choose to join the armed forces and clutch on to patriotism, and then they serve out their service on Okinawa, doing nothing really but logistics work, and now that guy deserves PTSD, that guy deserves the war. It's just gross. It's just gross. It's dehumanizing. I think it's anti-leftist. I think it's basing your politics more on cruelty than compassion, and I think it's everything that people resent about the left. It's the resentful left. It's the type of the left that people like, oh, you just don't like the rich because they have more than you and resent them and you want what they have. It feels like that. It feels more resent based than like solution based or like wanting to help people. I don't like it. I mean, at best, if you wanted to sell this perspective, the way to go would be that soldiers consumed by a war machine are as much a victim of that war machine. But no. Instead it's this. So I'm not a big fan of this. I'm not a big fan of this commentary. But it's also against terms of service because one of the protected classes on Twitch is veterans. Veteran status is a protected class on Twitch, meaning you cannot wish harm upon or wish death to veterans, just as much as you can't do it for minority groups, sexual minorities, etc. And so this right here is like an out and out Twitch TOS violation by like a mile and a half. And I don't even know how you think you're going to get away with this. This platform is owned by Amazon. This platform is owned by Amazon. And if this platform is owned by Amazon and they want to get their packages into every home in America and they're going to put advertiser after advertiser from different video games to food companies to alcohol companies to soda companies to car companies to engineering and companies to all these different technological companies, and they're going to want these ads to keep Twitch's revenue up. When Twitch is not seeing revenue, Twitch is not giving Amazon a day of positive revenue from since the day they bought it. And you think you're going to play games with Twitch management right now over this stuff? You think you're going to play games like this? I was like, I just don't know how you do this and then think you're going to stay unbanned. And look, I respect a viewpoint of if somebody says something offensive, then they said something offensive. Don't ban them. I respect that viewpoint. But also, I don't believe that many of the people who are saying these viewpoints in defense of Frogan or in defense of others would hold that same standard if we were talking about somebody on the opposite end of the spectrum here. Like, how many of the people who are saying that Frogan shouldn't be banned, that any of these other people shouldn't have been banned, say Destiny absolutely should stay banned off of Twitch after being banned for years off of Twitch? Also, Frogan believes healthcare is a human right, right? But I guess not for people she thinks are bad. Well, I mean, I guess POWs or of the enemy army or, you know, soldiers in the country that you live in don't deserve the human right. Just everybody that you ideologically prescribe is within your camp. Look, you could maybe defend this out of saying that she said this in a burst of anger. But no, you can't, because she actually reiterated this on another occasion. Does anybody have the clip? This is the thing that made me say, okay, I'm talking about this. Because Frogan was asked about this, and I was like, oh, okay, so this is a moment where she can say, look, I saw a clip, and this I can forgive to some extent. Where people like, I was in a moment of rage. I saw like a particularly bad video of some dead Palestinian children, and it angered me, and so I was like, no, I can't deal with it. And so I said this in that moment of anger. It'd be kind of hard for me to believe it, considering she's also eating in the clip, but I could at least understand it. But then she recently reacted this shortly before being banned, reacted this specific clip, and she's still 100% on board with it.
Any other motherfucker, you're joining them. You're like, oh my god, I want my fucking Camaro, no student loans. Fuck you. I hope you get PTSD. And I hope you get no health insurance when you get back into fucking America. And they posted it in my head. I'm like, base? Based? Like, am I supposed to be like I'm not walking back on it. I still fucking agree with it. Base?
See, the thing is, like, I see some of these comments online about Frogan, and I'm like, do I really want to talk about this? Do I want to be like another person jumping on a bandwagon? But then I go, just see like this lack of acknowledgement of having messed up at all. She's doubling down on it. She's spreading this idea to her audience that this type of thing and saying this about veterans or people with PTSD, people suffering with post-traumatic stress disorder is okay. And she, like, this is like an obvious Twitch TOS violation. And she's not only like flagrantly violating the rule, she's then revisiting her violation of the rule and then like giggling about the disgusting thing she said while doubling down on it, while cackling about it. And this is, I mean, you're never supposed to revisit the scene of a crime. She's at the scene of a crime, giggling, saying like there's a body on the ground based at the scene of the crime. My goodness. I will also say, like, another problem I'm finding is I think that the ease at which you can dehumanize people is much easier depending upon your education level on the issue you're talking about. For me, at the start of my time in Ukraine documenting the war, it was much easier for me to demonize the Russians in my head than it is now. And that's not to say that I haven't seen like worse stuff. As the war's gone on, it's gotten worse and worse. I mean, the civilian Savari in Kherson, when I saw John Jones in the hospital after he got hit in the stomach, but the Russian shrapnel when they were bombing our aid mission. I mean, I've seen, some pretty awful stuff that you, like, over time, and logically speaking, you would imagine, okay, Dylan's seen more awful stuff. Now he like despises the Russians more and more. But I've learned more from talking to people on the ground who do support the Russians that didn't make me think, oh yeah, the Russians are right. But it made me at least understand where some of these perspectives are coming from, where people who were raised in only Russian schools, that were made sure when they were getting raised to go to the Russian speaking schools, were told that the Russian Orthodox Church is like the center of God's word, and to like break from that is to break from God's word, who have been raised on nothing but Russian radio propaganda and to a certain extent where like I can't really get in the stands and be cheering the same extent I see other people do when I see the FPV videos going off, or when I see, for example, like the drones going back the other way. That's not to say that I like the idea of Ukraine winning the war. I'm not excited about that, or I'm not happy on the idea of Ukraine taking back territory. It's just to say that I'm not like celebratory in like the butchering or the death or the destruction, because I could see a million different ways for those soldiers to end up there. You know, Africans who thought they were coming to Russia to do, you know, work in farming industry or the agriculture industry, then end up with a rifle and now they're going to the front. Sri Lankans in the same boat. Russians from Eastern Russia, from, you know, the parts of Russia deeper in Asia that have no economic opportunities, grabbing at it, being told that they were going to be away from the front line, now march to the front of the front line. Prisoners who thought they had no other option to get outside of prison, and it was either another 20 to 25 years, one of the most brutal prison systems in the world, or what they were being told was 6 months to a year of service in the armed forces. And like, I can morally disagree with any of these decisions, but at no point do I come to the conclusion where it's like, okay, if I can wish every number of horrible things upon these people when I don't need to, like just trauma, and it's okay. Because for me, I can understand the perspective of how they got there better. And I don't like it. I still think it's gross. But once I understand it, I think it like takes a lot of the rage out of it for me. Because at least I understand it to some extent. So that was something that took, you know, some time for me to develop. Like, I understand where they're coming from. I remember my grandfather, my grandfather fought in Vietnam. And he was very young. He grew up on a farm. He didn't have many economic opportunities. And when I go and think of that, and I think of like, if my grandfather grew up in a different country and was sent off to fight somewhere where, you know, the morality is more than blurred, do I wish death upon every single person in that instance of my And so I try to think about it from that perspective to make sure that I keep that like basic level of humanity somewhere in me. And it's not because I'm like better than anyone, or I want to feel better, or like I need to I need to be super emotional. Is if I'm going to be speaking about this war and I want to be responsible about it, I cannot view the enemy as some sort of vermin, as some sort of like disgusting, like these are all non-thinking fools and slaves who are coming here just to kill and butcher and die. Just don't think any deeper to it. Because if I treat it without that level of complexity, it's much easier for me to do my job. It's easier for me to commentate, but it's not going to be either, I think, as valuable commentary. And I also don't think it's going to lead to people coming away from this with decent conclusions, or like any idea about what led to this outcome. Because if we want to stop wars like this from happening again in the future, we need to have a better understanding. Now, the reason I go into that big rant about why it's important to, even if you disagree with why other people have joined a war, or I think it's disgusting that people are joining this bloodletting for money. I belabor this point to say that it takes time and effort to grow that type of appreciation for the perspective of people on the other side of the conflict that stops you from demonizing people. I don't think that much of Twitch poll has even done a basic effort to try to do that with any of the wars that they're talking about. And I think that doesn't only translate into the wars, but it also translates into other issues. Is the type of thing that could lead to you telling somebody who joined the army so they could have a full stomach when they go to bed every night that they deserve to have PTSD and not have health care, which they also simultaneously think is a basic human right that everyone should have. That can only come from a dehumanization that comes from a lack of knowledge of veterans issues, of what leads to people joining the armed forces, or even what the role of the armed forces is. And I don't think it'll just transfer onto this issue. I think it'll transfer into foreign policy issues as well. I'm sure people have seen this, but Frogan was talking about Drew's people, and Frogan has talked about having a village in Lebanon, as in she has family who lives in a village in Lebanon, and she calls it her village, and she, calls upon this to, to talk about, you know, how this conflict, how this war connects to her. But she also doesn't know some basic facts about Lebanon or about the Middle East or about the conflict. Let me use independent reporter Drew Pavlou, completely independent, no problems here whatsoever. But I don't really care if it's Drew or not. I just want to show you the clip of her seemingly not knowing what a Druze is. And a Druze is a community in the Middle East that goes back quite a while. Goes back in Lebanese history quite a while. They were, you know, active participants in the Civil War. They banded together to defend their communities. So if you know anything about Lebanese history, Middle Eastern history, or the Lebanese Civil War, you should know what a Druze is. And here is her with two other streamers, multiple of which actually banned with her, seemingly not knowing what a Druze is.
Just one day after the October 7th massacre a year ago, Hezbollah joined the war against Israel. It launched an unprovoked attack on our cities, killing civilians without distinctions, Jews, Christians, Muslims, and Druze.
Okay, so they said that they're killing.
We talked about last time. It
Druze. There was the village in the Golan Heights. The Hezbollah rocket came down and hit kids playing soccer, but everyone says Israel shot the rocket down and it hit the kids playing soccer. That was in the Golan Heights. Muslims, it killed one person in Palestine. It hasn't killed any Christian Palestinians that I'm aware of, or any Christian Israelis, and it hasn't. I don't think.
Druze.
And I think it killed Jews. I think it killed IDF soldiers. So I think Hezbollah has not killed anyone else.
For me, this is just wild. It's like if you're talking about the history of ISIS and you're like, Yazidi? What's a Yazidi? I've never heard of a Yazidi genocide. What do you mean, I don't know what you're talking about. What's this Yazidi thing? It makes me question how much you can really talk about the issue. It's not like a small thing. It's not like a tiny thing. It's like, oh, I'm a World War II historian. Italians? I'm not familiar. What's Mussolini? Never heard of him. Who was he, an Allied leader? Axis? I don't know. It just it believers again. It brings me back to my point that I think that these types of hot takes can only be so quickly shot out when you are on that. You're on the lower part of the information curve. From you know, you're starting to build up confidence in the issue that you know, but you're not exactly, you know, most informed, but you're at your most confident because you've been told a bunch of positions that reinforces what you already wanted to believe. And so therefore it's really easy to demonize the other side. And that's not to say that Frogan doesn't believe anything that's righteous. I believe the Palestinians deserve their own state. But if you don't put any effort into understanding, you know, the other side of any issue, whether it be the basic humanity of veterans or, you know, the other side of an issue in a foreign policy conflict, it's going to lead to demonization. And that doesn't mean you need to abandon your deeply held beliefs, but it does mean that if you're going to be talking about a war to your audience, you need to, you know, maybe stay a little bit away from that, the demonization. So I think, honestly, out of all of them, like, Frogan was the one that was asking for the ban, like, most heavily. Like, I can't really speak much to the other ones. I don't know if the panel in and of itself was enough for a ban, but Frogan was basically putting like ban me signs on herself again and again and again, in my opinion, and then bringing attention to those ban me signs. Now, we're not done here, not yet, because this is not just about these 4 people getting banned from Twitch, because these 4 people got banned, but that's not all that people want. In fact, people are asking for much more than just Frogan and these 3 others getting banned because of this Twitch anti-Semitism problem. We're having demands for the CEO of Twitch, Dan Clancy, to get banned, as well as demands for Hassan to get banned, the golden goose of Twitch politics. Now, this website is called DanClancySucks.com, and it was collected by formerly known as HarkDan, now known as Dan Can't Stream. He's gathered a bunch of different clips and videos to make the case that Dan Clancy has not been responsive to complaints about anti-Semitism on the Twitch platform, and therefore it has become a quote-unquote anti-Semitic hellhole. HarkDan, also known as Dan Can't Stream, is I guess you could call him a close associate of Destiny, which has then put this whole campaign largely within the Destiny orbit, or well within the Destiny orbit, which then further, of course, angers Hassan and his, what you can say, his fiefdoms, his fiefs, his proxies, whatever you want to call them, because, of course, the long-standing Destiny Hassan beef, which was only intensified recently when Destiny's, like, out of left field said something about, we'll probably cover that at a different point. He just said something really gross about Michael Brooks that was unnecessary. Just Destiny just like kicking a grave for no good reason. Anyway, let's go through some of this list. Just know that this is DGG aligned media, and I wanted to go through it, but it is DGG aligned media, DGG aligned state media. Yeah, Dan is the entire problem with anything else, and he knows it. Twitch endorsed anti-Semitism. In this October 2024 clip, we get some commentary about a recent Twitch.com event. Why we are waking Zionists and Arabs. It is official Twitch position that Jews are at the bottom. So this is Ethan Klein video, and I don't know if we're going to watch these tonight, because he has released a few of these talking about this problem with Twitch, but I don't know how much we're going to get through. So how about we go through the other ones, the other quicker clips. Twitch silently banned the entire country of Israel in October of 2023 for over a year. Do you remember the global day of jihad on 14/10/23? Luckily, not much came from it, but Twitch did decide to take advantage of the situation. Twitch pushed live a couple code changes to their site that specifically banned all people in Israel from creating new accounts on Twitch. Yes, this is as insane as it sounds. This restriction does not exist for Yemen, Iran, Iraq, the Congo, nothing. So this does seem to be real. Twitch says, again, in response, I don't know if I brought this up earlier, that this was done in order to stop the flow of like violent and like awful videos onto the platform, that they didn't want like live streams of war crimes on the platform. But I don't really buy that. I'm in Ukraine,
immoral,
and there have been tons of war crimes here.
Man.
We're still allowed to stream. We never had no restriction. I never had a restriction on me filming or doing anything. You know, and like if I filmed a war crime, like I'd get banned, but I'm allowed to film here. We were never like locked out or punished in some way. So I don't really buy that. And it wasn't the case in Russia either. Russia was never banned. Russian streamers still stream on Twitch. Why Israel? Why was Israel banned? I don't buy their story. Because if their story was true, then they would have maybe been banned for a little bit and then they'd undo it. But no, it was in place for almost like a year. And this is, and again, this is where I lean towards these other 4 streamers getting banned. They are the sacrificial lamb. They are the ones that they can point to say, look, we took action. We banned these 4 streamers. Because this is not something that Denims did. This is not something that Frogan did. This was a Twitch decision. Who made this decision at Twitch? Who made the decision at Twitch? That's something I still have major questions for, because I don't buy it. I do not buy it. Hassan using an ethnic slur against Jews. Let's just introduce you to the top political streamer on Twitch. His name is Hassan Piker. What slur does he use here?
You think the Israeli state was just like peacefully coexisting, and then these guys came in with fucking gliders out of nowhere? Don't say fuck off, dude. They didn't deserve it, you fucking idiot. My goal is solutions. Your goal is the continuation of violence. You want way more than 260 people dying. You want every single Palestinian to be fucking executed ruthlessly in the streets so that you can build another fucking theme park in Gaza.
This guy only said 3 things, none of which implied that.
You fucking baying pig. You fucking bloodthirsty, violent pig dog.
Pig dog. Glossary, wiener, haha, library. Pig dog. Yeah, wait, was this guy Jewish? You know what should have happened? Killing 260 people at a music festival. Yeah, they deserved it. Smooth brain, they. Fuck off. Pig dog is pretty bad.
Fucking baying pig. You fucking bloodthirsty, violent pig dog.
I would say Pig Dog is pretty bad. And I don't know I really hear Pig Dog like drop casually. I don't hear any like rap videos where they're like, my op's a pig dog. You know, I don't like, this isn't like a word that's really deep in like common vernacular on the street, as it were. You know, it's not like popular slang. It's a kind of a weird and bloodthirsty pig dog, and you know, blood libel. I don't know. Look, the thing is, I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt because I fall on the side of I doubt that Hassan is an anti-Semite. I doubt that he doesn't like the Jews. I don't think he likes Israel. I don't think he likes Zionism or Zionists. But that extending to like blood libel about the Jews, which could be implied from this statement, I'm trying to be skeptical out of good faith. And this is pretty bad. The bloodthirsty, you know, I've heard that he could say bloodthirsty in relation to the war. Pig dog, a little bit out of left field. But then again, I say knuckle dragger and I try to throw out original insults. You know, you got to keep it. You can't just call everybody stupid or idiot or moron all day. So, you know, trying to be good faith here. He's trying to add some pig dog variety. The top political streamer on Twitch flat out denies any rapes happened by Hamas. Wait, what? What rapes did Hezbollah do? What rapes did Hamas do?
And peace.
What rapes did Hezbollah do? Bro, what rapes did Hamas do? What are you talking about? Like, there is one instance in captivity that we have actually gotten verifiable evidence on. Beyond that, the systematized mass rapes that Hamas dealt on October 7, not a single bit of that has been verified. And people still run with it over and over and over again.
How would you say what rapes did Hamas do and then be like, we only have like one verified rape? Like, okay, can I also just throw out there, if you're, remember October 7th, it was like gliders, they cross over the border. They then have a very short time period where they're supposed to be able to operate, presumably from their angle. They probably did not know how long it was going to take for Israel to respond. And so for their angle, they're going around, they're going bang, 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 shoot, shoot, shoot. They're trying to do as much damage as possible, as quick as possible before extracting. Taking the time to violate someone in that way during this is a deviation from war planning, or is a deviation from what would be most strategically beneficial. It is cruelty for cruelty's sake. It is demeaning of somebody's humanity for the sake of demeaning their humanity. Some form of violent sexual conquest. And so like anyone doing that would be awful. But it is like, by the way, it's not always going to be as simple as we have one verified instance. By the way, if you have one verified instance, there's probably a decent chance that there's other instances. Because there is a lot of testimony out there of rapes and war crimes, for example, in Ukraine, that we don't have DNA evidence for because it happened while someone was in captivity, and like rape kits like months later are not going to be as useful. And so I don't know how you lead with what rapes did Hamas do, then say you at least know of one, and then be like, if there's smoke, there's fire. You know, I just see what he's trying to say. He's like, it's not as systematic as they say. But if I was like, DUI, you say my buddy has a drinking problem? You say my buddy, you know, he's a heavy drinker? He only has one DUI. Most people don't have any DUIs at all. And like those soldiers, while they were doing that raid, they were on like a timer. There was like a chess clock going off for the Israeli military to come down and destroy everything in its path, which it then proceeded to do. So I mean, kind of weird. Not good. Dan Clancy enjoys watching rape-denying streamer and brothel patron Hassan Piker. Brothel patron? I remember this scandal. I don't know why you even bring this up. I feel like I think that it's kind of pointless to bring that up. Hassan physically recoils at the idea of the 7-10 rapes being real. Pay special attention to this chat here. That is the audience that has been fostered by Hassan. This is the streamer Dan Clancy enjoys, by the way.
And that's not going to change. But let's take a step back. October 7, 1,200 people were massacred. Many young people who were simply attending a music festival. Women were horribly raped. As I said then, I say today, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed.
By the way, can I just throw out there, and like, I don't understand why he's having these types of like reactions to it.
We've got to
Because on one hand, we hear like the UN did this investigation of whether Israel's committing genocide, and wow, this is a verified like international organization that people respect, talking about the possibility of genocide being occurred, and that needs to be treated with the utmost seriousness. But then the UN says that there's reasonable grounds to suspect that Hamas engaged in sexual violence during their attacks, and it's like these institutions cannot just be respected when they're with you and then completely disregarded immediately when they start saying information that does not perfectly fit into the narrative. At least that's from my perspective. Like you could make the argument, and this would be the argument from my perspective from Hassan, it would be like, yes, these are bad, but when you think of the larger systematic problems in the Middle East, like when the Soviets came to Berlin, there were these rapes of Berlin, but you need to look at the wider picture of why we were sending supply. Like he could try to make some bigger argument here as to why, like, yes, there's war crimes, but in every war there's war. But no, just like, it's like you can't acknowledge it. Like it's easier for me to say, like, I believe providing the Soviets with the trucks and the supplies that we did during World War II was the right decision because Hitler was hell-bent on conquering Europe and the world. While acknowledging the rape of Berlin. I don't need to like separate those two things, because if I believe reality does not seem to match up with how I'm interacting with the world or my political position, then I need to shift my political position. I need to shift my perspective, not just like put on blinders and pretend the thing isn't happening. Okay, where were we? Hassan says it's a thumbs up to rape. Jesus. Hassan tells us the benefits of raping rich white. This is how much of this is Hassan? I know he's the biggest political streamer, but like this is like all Hassan.
At least Patrick Henry College is like doing one good thing, which is that like,
what does it have to do with anti-Semitism? Now we've delved off the anti-Semitism train to just like Hassan's worst hits. Now that's where we are. We're just listing Hassan's worst hits.
If you have these fucking millionaire, billionaire, WASP fail sons, at least taking them out of other colleges so they can only do date rape to other billionaire, millionaire failed daughters is like, in some respects, you know, from a utilitarian perspective, of course, a little bit better. You know what I mean? Like taking these guys and putting them in a pen with one another is ultimately getting them away from the broader society.
I mean, this is gross, but like completely unrelated. And you could probably just claim it was a joke. Dan wishing Hassan happy birthday. Hassan is the most extremist far-left individual misinfo spreader in the USA. Hassan calling for violence.
It's hurt poor people that they can afford housing in Berkeley. I don't know how that works.
My understanding is that the property owners who have properties there choose just not to rent it at all.
Yeah, kill them. Kill those motherfuckers in a video game. Sorry. Holy shit. Murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods, dude. Oh my god, in a video game, of course.
NFL
Holy shit.
How long was this, like, I know eventually the realization was you can't just say in a video game, and now in a video game is like just a meme. You know, where you mess up, you say something on stream, and they say in a video game after, chuckle a bit, and you just kind of hope Twitch staff don't notice. How long was it that people actually treated like in a video game as if it was an actual defense for saying stuff like this from like Twitch moderation? I agree at like the idea of anger at, you know, tenants being overcharged or something. But how does anyone get away with saying this on Twitch? Just like, oh my God. How is that even possible to get away with this? I mean, this is an old setup. This is from a while ago. This is probably from when he was still like with TYT and when he wasn't like the biggest face of Twitch. So it might be easier to be like, well, you know, nobody noticed it. Nobody saw it. But my God. And it is silly that the entire streaming sphere basically, okay, you just say murder this guy, hurt this guy, do this evil, violent, extremely against TOS thing. Just put in a video game after you get away with it. That legitimately is how the streaming space treated it for like years. Did the rapes happen? Even if they did, Hassan didn't care. My God, this really is just. Is there anything outside of Hassan stuff
to
here?
emancipation, a right to live.
This is all Hassan. More Hassan, more Hassan. My God. Oh, and then we get not just Hassan at the end here. Okay.
Fucking free lives, free from this occupation. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if fucking rapes happen on October 7th. Like, that doesn't change the dynamic for me even this much. So that's the other part of this problem that many people that can't contend with. Like, the
This is the thing that I don't get, though. If this is the case, right? If it doesn't matter at all, why even like get into the minutia and argue over it? Why not just wait until all the information is clear and visible, and then like release statements on it then, or talk about it then, instead of arguing the minutia like right in the immediate aftermath of what exactly is true and isn't true about the war crime before you have all the information. Because if it doesn't matter and it doesn't change your perspective, then you don't need to die on the hill. It's quite literally a impossible hill. A pointless hill to die on. Out of context, there's more context here to include. So his perspective does change if there were rapes on October 7th. And I mean, how can we say it's out of context? This isn't the entire stream. I mean, we can go back further and we can listen to more to see what the context is if you're saying it's out of context.
Justifies that Palestinians have a right, by the way, none of which justifies Israel's actions. So it doesn't even matter. None of this justifies that Palestinians have a right to dignity, a right to emancipation, a right to live fucking free lives, free from this occupation. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if fucking rapes happen on October 7th. Like, that doesn't change the dynamic for me even this much. So that's the other part of this problem that many people that can't contend with. Like, the Palestinian resistance is not perfect. They're not like so good. They have magical bullets, and there's no criminal elements that could have conducted themselves very differently. Like, that doesn't change the dynamic for me at all. It's so fucking stupid to act like, no, they're perfect. They were perfect on October 7th. And
okay, so the thing is, people in chat are arguing like this isn't even that bad for Hassan. Like, okay, let me be clear. None of these are like pro-rape. And I see some people talking about like Hassan, the rape. No, none of these are pro-rape. What a lot of this is Hassan very quickly in the immediate aftermath jumping onto certain narratives here, jumping into certain narratives there, which he tends to do as news stories are developing. He jumps on stuff way too early. He did it with the weapons identification when it came to the hospital, him pretending he could figure out whether a JDAM sounded like this or sounded like that, him doing it in the immediate aftermath of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and the talk about, oh, what are the right sector snipers during the protests, and oh, you know, there was this Victoria Nuland phone call, and, you know, maybe they overthrew it, just jumping on with little information very early on, and then kind of digging in his heels a bit. And I think that's the main problem, honestly. I don't think it's him being pro-rape. I think that if he is out here arguing for the violence to stop, and he's arguing that it needs to, stop the invasion of Gaza, but then the force in Gaza that is governing is the same force that was going across southern Israel, raping and pillaging and burning and taking hostages, then it's going to be much harder to make an argument to people that Israel doesn't have a right to go in there and bust them up. And so from that angle, like you could say that there might be a usefulness to breaking it down and saying it's not true. But if it comes out that it is true, then you've not only shot your own credibility, but then, that it's true, and you didn't get people prepared for whether it would be, because if it is true, you could still make an argument for the need for a Palestinian state. If it is true, there's still arguments you can make. It's just, I think the needlessness of arguing over the minutia this early on.
they were conducting themselves perfectly. But these kinds of stories delegitimize Palestinian resistance? No, it does not. What the fuck are you talking about? No, you think it delegitimizes Palestinian resistance. Okay? You think so. I don't. The fuck?
That's on you to prove You can't just assume people mean things with completely different words. What exactly do I need to prove? Oh, you're talking to other people in chat. It's hard to tell sometimes because you guys don't add each other. Some chat. I don't want to look at this chat. I don't really care about that. Hassan implicitly threatening a U.S. senator. Oh, I remember this. This was with like Josh Hawley, wasn't it? Yeah. Wait, where is it? I didn't. This is just new tolerance campaign. I think he deleted it. A prominent leftist commentator and streamer on Twitch, Piker boasts millions of followers across social media, is known for his crass conduct towards individuals, including making a veiled threat in response to a tweet by Senator Tom Cotton. Piker replied to a tweet from the senator by posting a photo of a homemade gun. This is true. Tom Cotton tweeted, I encourage people who got stuck behind the pro-Hamas mobs blocking traffic, take matters into your own hands and get them out of the way. So the defense for Hassan here would be, Tom Cotton seems to be saying, do whatever you want, run them over, whatever, do whatever you need. And so Hassan's saying in response, well, if you're going to be violent towards protesters, then, you know, protesters have means in their own hands. And this gun, for those of you who don't know, this is the Fallout-esque gun that was made by the Shinzo Abe assassin when he took him out for his ties to that cult that his mother fell victim to. So Hassan is directly referencing that assassination in reference to Tom Cotton. So it's a, you know, Hassan, and I think a defender of Hassan could say, it's a violent threat towards protesters being responded to with a veiled violent threat in response. Try to be more good faith towards Hassan here. Is that something that a Amazon partner Twitch streamer should be doing towards U.S. senators? Probably not from Twitch's perspective, but just to give the alternative perspective. Hassan with some cool takes on Russia. Oh boy, what's this?
So annexation of Crimea and the war in Donbass were non-invasions. Got it. Donbass is different than Crimea, and Crimea is an annexation that is, in my opinion, justifiable. It is a part of Russia, okay? You might not believe it. The people of Crimea agree with it, so I don't give a fuck. I don't care about.
You know, it's crazy because like when I was showing these clips to the Ukrainians that reacted to them, Hassan was like adamant that this was out of context. But like I went back and checked, man, and not only did I provide context, but like there's not like an amount of context that makes these statements that much better for like Ukrainians that are reacting to them. I don't know what amount of context he would have even wanted me to provide. We could have watched the whole stream. I don't think it would have changed anything. My God, it's just really just a bad thing to be saying. I mean, like the polls from like 2011, even done by the UN, that are normally cited by people who say that the Russians wanted to be their own thing. This isn't even what that poll says. The poll says like 41% of the country said maybe be part of Russia. 40% of it said be part of Ukraine to different varying degrees, and 11% in the middle. And mind you, these are the polls that are best for Russia. 11% in the middle saying actually Crimea should be its own autonomous thing. So it's like own independent country or something in between. That's not the people of Crimea clearly want to be part of Russia. Not to mention, it's weird that like the decolonial like lens that Hassan usually takes when looking at other conflicts isn't applied here when it comes to like the Tatar community. I know he said like they have a right to it, but you know, how many of them really exist anymore? Actually quite a lot. Quite a lot less since they've been getting murdered and thrown in the river since Russian occupation, but yeah, actually quite a lot of them. Hassan laughs and chats with terrorists. Hassan has one of the famous Yemeni pirates, whatever, and chats with him about his favorite show, Drugs and Life in Yemen. I assume he's talking about like the leaves that they chew on. This is not an interview, it's a promotion reel with a U.S. designated terrorist organization. The official slogan of the Houthi terrorists contained, death to America, death to Israel, and a curse upon the Jews. Whoops, I sure they mean Zionists. Look, honestly, I've talked about this interview before on my channel. I've already kind of belabored on it before. This interview wasn't great. It's not really much of an interview outside of like, just like, this is my buddy, come meet my buddy. He's so cool, he watches anime, it's my buddy. Like he could have asked about like you know, what type of critique of the Houthis is allowed in like territory controlled by them. How are women treated? You know, it could have been like, hey, why did the Houthis like you know really help instigate the civil war in the first place? Why did they work with Salah? Why did they work with the previous Yemeni leader that was seen as horribly corrupt that murdered his own people? Why did he work with him to capture the capital of Sana'a and then murder him 2 years later? Like where's the principle? Like, you know, just any questions outside of that. Like, what if I went to that right sector guy I interviewed, and the right sector guy, after talking to him, all I asked him about was like, do you like the One Punch Man? Instead of, for example, violence that right sector like took out on as a street movement against the LGBT community. I don't know. It's like, it's as an interviewer, and when you're trying to inform your public about these politics, especially when it's not as simple as like, you know, these are the perfect heroes. You need to get a little bit more complex than like just talking to them about their favorite cartoons. That doesn't mean you can't talk to them about stuff like that. That stuff's interesting. It's just, you know, it's just kind of wild. Kid's not a terrorist. I will say I don't know that the guy involved is a terrorist. Whether or not the Houthis have engaged in terrorism, or if they've engaged in like attacks on civilian vessels, like of course they have. They've attacked civilian vessels. They've engaged in brutal torture. They've done like horrible things. But I don't know that this kid has done any of that. And when I say kid, I mean like, I don't know if I should say kid, because he's only like a few years younger than me. And even if he's not a terrorist, he certainly isn't Anne Frank either. Okay, well, how much more do we have? Here we go. Let's finish this. Let's see what else is here. Because I think I'm done with the Hassan stuff. Hassan being racist towards Cubans. Hassan making the excuse this is the thing with like Hassan calling Destiny Gusano. I remember that. Okay, now the other people. It's not just Hassan. Twitch has fostered a community of streamers that share a common element: extreme far left political views that frequently target Jewish people. Caroline Aklan is a racist. Graham has children, little Aryan children. Who said you can spell your name like that? You are mixed race. The streamer was not banned for this action. What is he talking about? What is this clip? I have no clue who this is. Didn't this woman get like an article about her recently? Did this woman get a puff piece about her recently? I forget which publication. But didn't this woman get a puff piece? Could have sworn that I saw some political streamer got a puff piece that I never heard about before. Was this that woman? I can't remember. I'll check YouTube chat to see if you guys remember. Another Hassan orbiter? Got you. Okay, well, I don't know anything about them. But another one. Is this another one that's going to be knocked down? Another one that's going to be added to the 4 band? I'm starting to look at like the Hassan like associates tree. You know how like when Israel posts those I've already seen like edits of this, but I've seen these edits where people will show like the structure of Hamas or the structure of Hezbollah. Now the leader here, Nasrallah, they'll have all the different like deputy commander here, deputy leader there. I've seen like 3 or 4 of them where it's like Hassan at the top and it's got like a bunch of people under it. And I saw like Bad Bunny was on it, Denims was on it, Frogan was on it, Eliminated, all these different people. She was praised in a prolific magazine. Can't remember which one. Can't remember which one it was, but I remember she was praised in some magazine. Let's watch.
Israel has conducted its war opaquely in such a way that one must take its word that every bomb and every round is dropped or fired lawfully. Here's the thing, Graham. Also, who the fuck... Spell your name Graham, okay? You're not from Ireland. You don't get to spell your name Grame. No. You spell it like a graham cracker. Because that's what you half are. So Graham
what?
Has children. And this is what I pointed out in my tweet at him. I said, you're a genocide bootlicker. It's fucking shameful. We are in the same family. Anytime your name is brought up as some sort of pride point for the family, I'll direct them to the vile trash you've written many times over. You have children. Yeah, he has 2 kids. You want to know what my sister said? My sister's like even more ruthless than I am. She goes, I bet he's so happy that they came out with blonde hair and blue eyes. That they didn't get the Chinese genetics. That they look like little Aryans. Little Aryan children. You have children. Imagine if someone murdered them under the guise of war and a depraved imperial sycophant such as yourself defended that from the comfort of their safe home.
It's weird. Just throwing. Why would you go for Cracker? I do not know. No, I have no clue why. I guess it's just like, you could just call them gross, just call them disgusting, call them any number of things. Why do you have to go for race? But the thing is with Twitch has to have a standard racial attack policy. As in, you attack somebody over their race, no matter what their race is, it has to be standardized. You cannot make exceptions where, yeah, you can't make insults over black people, you can make insults Chinese people, but white people, it's okay. You can't do that. If they do that, honestly, it's just going to inspire more racism. I genuinely, it's just going to piss off a bunch of really... it's just gonna piss off people. It's gonna be like, why is there a double standard? It's all it's gonna do is create more racial animus. So there has to be a consistent standard here. If you can't go after people with racial slurs, if they're black, white, like anyone, that's how the standard should be, right? And trying to be cute about it to get around it, you know, like that. Like, I don't. If you're using it in a sense, as in like some educational thing where you're saying it because what is the word? This is the word. That's one thing. But if you're trying to be cute as a way to get around the policy violation, like, I don't know what you expect. I don't know if you should expect some level of enforcement to slap you in the face. As for what she was responding to right here, I'm looking at this text on screen. To rebut Hamas's allegations by letting journalists see the war up close would be a calculated risk. Even when conducted legally, war is ugly. It is possible to kill children legally if, for example, one is being attacked by an enemy who hides behind them. And this rant was inspired by this sentence. Now look, this person could have extremely gross commentary, extremely gross beliefs, but it's really easy to, like, if somebody like is justifying the murder of children, just go after them for that. You don't need to bring up their own kids. And this is like a real argument you can tussle with for some reason. There's no reason to bring up his children. You could talk about, well, even if it is legal to kill children, in what world was it strategically beneficial enough to hurt these kids that it was worth bombing this apartment block? Or bring up some specific instances. Don't like just get outraged at the concept of it sometimes being legal to kill children, which I'm sorry to say, under international law, it is. You know, if there is 10 terrorists in a building and one child, innocent child, if a military can make the argument, which if you go back and you read this article, this is what it seems to be talking about. Israel has conducted its war opaquely in such a way that one must take its word that every bomb and every round dropped is fired lawfully. If you're talking about proportional response, if they can justify to themselves that taking out these 10 terrorists is more important strategically than the negative effects of taking out the one child, then they can take that strike lawfully under international law. But just because something's lawful doesn't mean it's right. I don't think the death penalty is right, but it's lawful. I don't think that the laws and regulations that we've had around all sorts of things in the United States around segregation were right, but it means it was still lawful. So, I mean, you should be arguing the morality of it, not getting angry at terms like lawfully or, you know, this is how the lawfully conduct war. Like, it just seems like the dumb minutia arguing. And I know I'm getting a little stuck up on this, but there's so many other ways you could try to tear down an article like this or try to go after an article like this, and you choose the weakest way and then to go after their children. I do not know why. I do not know why. Shankovi's calling for violence. Cam Dodson says this Destiny guy needs to get shot. Not gonna lie. Who are these people? I don't know who these people are. These are not big Twitch streamers. League of Legends streamer? This is a League streamer? Well, okay, we're already off to a bad start.
Why is Dantes in a podcast with Destiny? Bro, that Destiny guy needs to get Not gonna fucking lie. In game, of course. In GTA 5, of course.
Again, this is in the video game thing. It's like all streamers are children. They're all children. I can wish death upon other people just put in a video game. They're children. They're children. They're children. Who are these people? Shonda Black says someone needs to kill Destiny for saying the N-word. What does this have to do with anti-Semitism? None of this. We've gotten so far off track off of DanClancySucks.com. I mean, this could be like a showing of an inconsistency in enforcement policy, but none of this has to do with anti-Semitism anymore.
Just goes out and just says the N-word, which is not a surprise because he said the N-word on stream with his own face. Can somebody just like, it would just be so easy to just, it will save, like, solve all of our problems. Like, we would have socialism now at this point, right? We would have socialism at this point if someone just went out of their way and it would be so easy. This is what happens when you don't kill every single slave owner after slavery. They have children, and their children have children's, and their children have children's, and then their children have accidents that should have ended up on a sock, and it becomes destiny. That's what you get. That's what you get. When you don't murder every single slave owner, every single Ku Klux Klan member, and they have children, and those children have accidents that should have been aborted, you get destiny.
Like, Destiny's like saying the N-word for I don't know what reason. I think just to provoke people. Like this guy, to be completely honest, I think it's a completely pointless provocation. Like, I think Destiny just likes to piss people off. I think that's why he's doing it. Not gonna be me. Not gonna be me though. I like to keep my employment options all the way open. Thank you very much. I will not be using that word. Thank you. Thank you very much. But I expect like an angry response to this, right? Just because of like the history of that word. But can I just like throw out there, and this is like seems to be like a common theme. Can Twitch streamers stop like talking about like hurting this guy or hurting that guy? Like, this guy isn't hurting anybody. This guy isn't hurting anybody. All the people that are wishing death upon people in these videos. This guy, Gremlo and Central Committee. I don't know much about Gremlo, but Mike from PA isn't hurting anybody.
Hey, the guy who said it was on site at TwitchCon if he saw Destiny.
I dealt with kids like this all the time in high school.
What if I want the satisfaction?
As an adult, you have to at some point respond, but keeping it to saying shit about character and not physically is great. I mean, listen, all I'm saying is on site, you know,
I feel like this page would be a lot more effective if it was just concentrated on the anti-Semitism and didn't just become an extension of the of the Destiny proxy wars. But you know,
respond, but keeping it to saying shit.
I think they're just. I think it's a point about the inconsistency in enforcement, but I don't know if the point was about anti-Semitism, maybe we should have stayed in that area. But whatever.
At some point, respond, but keeping it to saying shit about character and not physically is great. I mean, listen. All I'm saying is on site, you know, we all have different ways that we react, you know? So
I'm not saying it's on site if I see Destiny at TwitchCon again.
I'm sorry, that fired snot out of my nose. Give me a second. I'm sorry. Fuck off, Mike. Look, I'm back. I'm sorry. No. Mike isn't hurting anyone. Okay, Mike is much more likely to hurt himself. He's not gonna hurt Destiny. He's not gonna hurt anybody. He's not gonna hurt any of Destiny's friends. He's not gonna lay his hands on anyone. Okay, he's much more likely to be the guy who punches a hole in the wall than he is to actually punch anyone else. Violence is about actions and not about talking. The entirety of Twitch is full of talkers. All these streamers talking about doing violence are talkers, and they talk and they talk and they talk, and that's all they're ever gonna do. Because it's Twitch, and you talk and you talk and you talk. And like, what even is a Twitch fight? Like, what would happen if like Mike from PA or Gremlo or any of these other people actually ended up taking a swing at Destiny? Like, Destiny is not somebody who's like claimed to have any martial prowess. Like, what'll happen? You'll get arrested. You'll maybe miss, fall over, then get arrested. Maybe you'll like hit him in the arm, give him like a slight bruise, and then, oh wait, get arrested. Or like you'll scuffle for a bit. You'll look like some, I don't know, some like fish flopping around, and then you'll go home. Like, do you guys think Mike from PA is gonna come out? He's gonna take out like the brass knuckles, and be, boom, and then like Destiny falls, and it gets over him. It's like, this is my hood, and he shows some gang tattoos. Some Crips come out, and he's like, "Hey Destiny, we heard you said the N-word," and they got the bats. Boom, 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 and then Destiny's like flopping on the floor. No, I shouldn't have been racist. And then, you know, Mike drags his teeth to the pavement and puts it on the curb, and then recreates American History X. No, none of that's happening. None of that's happening. If you don't have the confidence to try out for like high school basketball, I don't think you have the confidence to confront other people with violence. None of these people have like violent track records or have records of like fighting or anything like no. I just stop threatening violence. Just like call them stupid, just call them like cringe, just like say that their community is racist. Do the usual stuff. Just like there's so many things to go after Destiny for from like his history of statements that are so clippable, whether it be his use of the N-word previously, whether it be with his falling out with Trihex, whether it be the thing that he said about Michael Brooks, which makes it really easy to hate him from left-wing circles. Like, there's a million things you could go after him for. Like, there's no reason for you to pretend that you know how to throw a punch. Anyway, that's enough of this. Wait, let me hear Gremlos. I haven't heard Gremlos.
I'm just saying, you know, it probably wouldn't be on site. Honestly, I probably wouldn't notice him while I'm tripping over him because he's so fucking short.
Like him to come to TwitchCon and we'll see what happens. I have enough.
Gremlo's not a big guy either. There's like Twitch is full of small guys. Twitch is mostly small men. Twitch is made up of not mostly 6'4" bodybuilders. Twitch is made up of mostly small men.
Can afford all the lawyers
or very big men.
It depends. It's not like the attacks against me are rooted in any type
This is the clip I was.
This is what we're doing as a community 15 days before the election. What do you want from me, Dan? What do you want from me, Dan, about? This is what the community wants. This is what the community is talking about. This is what the community is asking for some reason. Okay? If it makes you feel better, Dan, I opened with the Moldovan elections, okay? Which I'm sure Hassan was covering with much interest today.
Looking for
actual foundation.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone is terrified of this guy. I mean, look at his physique, dude. It's marvelous. It's magnificent.
Yeah, dude, he's got like easy 50 pounds on Destiny. What do you mean? Easy 50 pounds.
He's bloat maxing. He's doing a round bulk right now. I mean, I personally am scared. Like,
yeah, dude,
this guy
peak male fucking performance. What do you mean?
Doesn't even need a gun. Like, he comes up to you, it's over in one punch, dude. You should be terrified. I love when people are clearly out of shape basement dwellers who are extremely.
Is that it? Frogan is a racist. In this clip, Frogan refers to another donation as a cracker ass take. What was this? Oh, this is back in reference to Ludwig, isn't it? God, they're digging up all the worst clips of Frogan. Frogan's really the biggest L of this whole thing. Frogan's like the one person I can come away from this saying, like, for sure, like, this person needs like maybe more than a month away, maybe like a 6-month time period of reflection, you know, comes back, you know, after, you know, maybe doing a little bit more of humanization. Dude, Ludwig has to be such a punching bag. This is the thing though, Ludwig's like travesty, his horrible sin that he committed. For those of you who don't know, Ludwig is another big streamer, is that he donated to a Palestinian charity, decided not to do his own stream about it. And that was like the travesty that elicited this response.
Ultimately, like, if I were to do a charity thing...
But no, again, like, Frogan is the one taking the biggest L from this. They're the one who built up the most easily hateable clips around themselves. They're the ones who takes the big L, honestly.
Charity thing relies on your donations. It should be something where like 95% of people feel good and are down for it. And like ultimately, regardless of what you think, that is not the situation here. So I personally donated 10K. Because I think it is worthwhile. And if you guys got some extra bread, I would recommend you donate. But I won't throw it on you, you know what I mean?
And he's shouting them out on stream. That's pretty cool.
No thanks. And some people are going to say that, you know what I mean? That's why it's the difference.
This is a cracker take.
Difference between like, hey, I can put my money where my mouth is, but I don't need to put your money there. I don't need to enter a fucking debate about whether that's worthwhile.
Take. Hey, I know Arabs are dying, but you know, I'm not gonna tell you to donate. Do whatever you want. Interesting. I don't know. Like I said, thinking about it, like you think of the Twitch streamers that haven't said shit about Palestine. Think about the Twitch streamers that haven't, or like streamers in general. We're gonna go to YouTube as well. YouTube and Twitch streamers that haven't said shit about Palestine.
Okay, can I just throw this out there? Why the fuck do you need to hear what Ludwig has to say about Palestine? Who was sitting in their bedroom like, God damn, I don't know what to think about this war. I know. Let me go to gaming YouTuber Ludwig. I also don't know anything about like the Irish Civil War. Let me go check out Sky Does Minecraft and see what he thinks about that. Oh snap, the Russians invaded Ukraine. Okay, Markiplier, what do I do? What if Ludwig just doesn't know anything? What if he's as ignorant as most people are about the conflict, and he sees a bunch of people on the TV, dying, and he feels bad about it, so he donates personally, but he also knows that he's a public figure, he's a celebrity, and if he does a stream where the whole point of streaming is to interact with your community, interact with those in the comments, they're going to be asking questions, they're going to be throwing stuff out there, and there's people who have connections to Israel, and they're going to be asking, and he doesn't feel like he can properly defend or advocate. So he gives that support privately, gives it a small shout out on his stream, and then that's that. There's other people like don't talk about it at all. Why would you like choose to direct your ire towards somebody that's already sympathetic to your cause? Like personally, I don't know if I want more ignorant Twitch streamers and celebrities giving their take about a place where people are dying. And maybe like it would be better if more shut up and just like listened. Like, I mean, what does he need to do? Like, do a stream on an issue that he's not particularly informed about? Like, I couldn't imagine like seeing a streamer be like, yeah, I donated $10,000 to Dagas Paul to support Ukraine. But I'm not going to do a stream because like, I just don't, I don't know about it, and I want it to be a debate, and it's I put my money where my mouth is. I don't want to force that on you. Like I could be like, that's kind of weird, but is it going to be the thing that I'm gonna go out there and be like cracker ass take? What does it even have to do with him being white? It has to do with him being uninformed. That's not a white take. That's an uninformed take. I don't know enough about this, but I care about it. I'm gonna donate privately and not become an advocate on it publicly. It's one thing to like raise awareness, but you should not be asking those who are ignorant to raise awareness. Because if you're ignorant, you're probably going to raise bad awareness.
Until engagement was threatened. But the ones that got the most shit for talking about Palestine since October 7th have been me, Caroline, Hassan. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. Streamers actually deserve to be fucking shit talked. Okay? Streamers that actually deserve to be shit talked. White saviors is like, oh, yeah, me, I donated $10,000, but I'm not going to promote it. Just don't say you donated $10,000 then. Look, if you're not actively believing, if you don't believe in the cause, and if you're not against genocide at this point, like, keep your fucking money. Keep your $10,000. Keep your little chump change. Like,
chump change. Oh my god.
The fuck? You want me to say like congratulations?
Damn. That's not the only clip of Frogan though. The clips from Frogan just keep coming. Here's another one that it's been shared a lot. This is her talking about this. Like, this isn't even related, really. This is very indirectly related. This is her talking about potential rewards for different like places you can get on a Frogan donation stream, a streamathon. And one of them for $6,250 was a 9/11 baking stream.
Okay, $6,250, 9/11 baking stream with Raph and Capri. If we get to this goal by 9/11, Capri, Raph, and I will make the Twin Towers out of a stacked cake, and we'll make an airplane, and we'll recreate 9/11.
I was waiting for like that is the punchline. That is the joke. And like on one hand, right, for me, like 9/11 jokes are a dime a dozen on the internet. So I don't really know how much I should care about this, because I don't really, because it's just like a 9/11 joke. But it's not even like funny. You've told us what the joke is in like advance. You've told us what the funny concept is, and it's just recreating 9/11 and K4. Whatever. This is like a minor thing, but I don't know. With Hassan's record on 9/11, it's kind of that trickles down to the Hassanites, to the people downstream of Hassan's content stream. But this is like the most minor thing, honestly. But it also does not help with Frogan's image, and is probably why, again, I think Frogan is the one that took the most PR elves out of this. Coming out of this, I think it is actually a contest between Frogan and Hassan, who comes out of this looking worse. And Hassan might only be winning just due to the fact that he's much more popular than Frogan. Okay. I think that's really all of what I wanted to talk about when it comes to Twitch and the ban enforcement and everything else.